Hey everybody, Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer here. Today I'm going to start a new series of episodes chronicling my quest to get a complete Sega Dreamcast collection. I've been talking about getting a complete collection ever since I started making the Old Ass Retro Gamer episodes. It is the one big goal I have set for myself, basically because while the Dreamcast is my second favorite console of all time, I feel it is the most achievable because the prices for these games haven't exactly skyrocketed the way they have for most of the other retro systems. There are a couple games that are getting up there, but I still feel that I could still possibly find these games in the wild, and if not, there's other means. But I do feel that this one is attainable. So whenever I get a few pickups, I'll make an episode showing off what I've found and tally up the amount of games that I have been able to collect so far and how many more I still need to get my complete collection. So I'm calling this series of episodes Dreamcasting, and this is episode 1. According to an app I have on my phone called Dream Collection, there are 253 games available in North America for the Sega Dreamcast, and that includes the web browser discs. And right now I have 108 games out of those 253, leaving me with 145 more games to find. But I have found some new ones, which is why I'm making this episode. So let's just get right into it. I decided to double my efforts in order to finish this goal as fast as possible. I would like to do it by the end of 2015. I don't know if that's actually going to be possible, so I'm hoping by the end of the first quarter of 2016, I will have my complete Dreamcast collection. I'm going to try my hardest to make that happen. I promise. So these are the games I've found since Gen Con. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. It's a 3D action platformer that features Buzz Lightyear on a solo mission. It was based on a cartoon I had no idea even existed, so aside from the Disney license, it is kind of a generic game. But I'm sure if I was younger, I would appreciate this more, because that's the audience it's going for, because it's really easy, nothing to write home about. Next is Chicken Run, which is based off of a movie that came out, I do believe, in 2000 by Aardman, which is the animation group that does Wallace and Gromit. It's actually a pretty decent license game. There's a bunch of different play styles. There's like stealth missions that are like Metal Gear Solid. There's puzzle sections, there's action segments. It's all done in 3D, as you would expect for the Dreamcast. My problem is that it's very bland looking, it's very drab. It looks just kind of like a slightly upscaled PlayStation 1 game. It is kind of fun in spurts, but it is also not that great of a game. Sega GT, which is kind of like Sega's answer to Gran Turismo, features a bunch of sports cars that were popular like in the early 2000s. So this is more of a simulation racing game than an arcade racing game. And I kind of like Gran Turismo, but that's another game I can only play in short spurts before I start to get sick of it, and I just kind of wish I was playing something like Daytona USA. While it is not a bad game, it looks great. It looks fantastic, especially if you have it hooked up through VGA. But still, it can be kind of slow and boring. Ultimate Fighting Championships. I did own this game back when I first had my Dreamcast. Like I keep on saying, Mortal Kombat 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, so I love fighting games. And just the fact that this was more about grappling and technique, and it's not just about button mashing, although it can be. You got a bunch of different styles to choose from. You got like jiu-jitsu and boxing and wrestling moves and all that. And it is fun to play. It's just that it is kind of heavy on simulation, and man, the further you get in this game, the harder it is to do anything, so you really have to level up your character really, really precisely. But I do enjoy it because it is different. Midway's Greatest Arcade Hits Volume 1. It's a compilation disc. Same thing came out on the PlayStation 1 and I think every other system out there at the time. This has Joust, Defender, Robotron, Defender 2, Bubbles, and my favorite, Sinistar. It's basically just emulations of old arcade titles from the 80s. Doesn't mean these games aren't classics, because they definitely are. I love me some Robotron 2084. There is also a Volume 2 that I need to find. Nostalgic as a motherfucker. Dinosaur. It's a really crappy licensed game based off of a movie that Disney made in the early 2000s that nobody saw. I barely remember, even though I saw it in the theater. So, the game definitely lives up to the movie because after playing it, I don't remember jack shit about it. Test Drive V-Rally, another racing game. There's a ton of them on the Dreamcast. I barely have scratched the surface. This one's a little more arcadey than Sega GT, but it does have a lot of really cool licensed cars, and it has like an editor mode where you can make your own tracks and share them. Since this was online, I can assume that maybe you could have done it through the internet, but the amount of information I don't think would have worked through 56K. And the graphics are really nice, the play control is really good, and even though I've never really played a lot of these test drive games, and there are a lot of them out there, this one is actually pretty fun. Oh look, another racing game. Vanishing Point.
And that's when it all came crashing down. What?
And oh look, another Disney game. Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. You've seen I've done a couple of collaborations with Nintendo, another YouTuber. We chat on Facebook quite a bit. He was one of my Facebook friends that I reached out to ask if he had any Dreamcast stuff that he'd be willing to sell me. And he had 2 games that I did not have in my collection, and I said, yes, please, want them now. And it took a little while for us to get everything worked out. It's all good. But eventually I got them. And the ones that I got from Nintendo are Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, and a complete in-box Seaman. Alone in the Dark is this really creepy survival horror game. I haven't really played a lot of the Alone in the Dark games. I think I've played the one for the PlayStation 2, which was like the reboot. I have a version of the original game for the 3DO, but I never could get into it very much, so I didn't play it. But this one is just really creepy, and this is a good example of a survival horror game. It's just kind of a shame that the whole franchise has gone tits up. And then there's this oddball. I did own this game when I had my Dreamcast back in the day, and I loved it. I thought it was the weirdest, like most unique and original game I had ever played at that point. Using this microphone that attaches to your controller, you actually talk to your little creature that you have created in this game. It's kind of like this weird circle of life thing where you kind of have to birth the creature and then you raise it and help it to evolve into something completely unlike what it was to start with. The conversations you end up having with this thing is kind of like, am I talking to a therapist or am I talking to a character in a video game? But I love it for that. I love it a lot. I think it is fascinating to play, and I played through it I think 3 times, trying different combinations of things to say to the creature, hoping it would help it develop in different ways. Didn't really do anything, but there was slight different conversations that I ended up having. You have to stick with it though. If you skip a couple of days, you might kill your character and have to start all over again. But it is rad as hell. And Leonard Nimoy is the narrator. How cool is that? Next is an RPG that's part of a series that I've never played. This is the first game I've ever owned in this franchise. Grandia 2. There are very few RPGs available on the Dreamcast, and that was kind of a shame. And the cool thing about this set is it also comes with the soundtrack. I'm not going to play this until I can get the first game, so I can experience the whole story, so I'm not just like jumping in during the second chapter and going like, what's going on here? You have to excuse me if I can't really talk about the game very much, because I have reasons. The King of Fighters Dream Match 1999. Yeah, this game doesn't date itself. I love SNK's fighting games. I especially love the King of the Fighters series because it combines all of their different fighting franchises into one game where you get to play as a whole bunch of characters from all those different games. This is one of those games that makes me want to buy an arcade stick. Like seriously, like you kind of need one to play this. It is okay to play it with a standard controller, but it would be so much easier to be able to pull these moves off with a stick. But one of the coolest things about this game is the fact that if you owned a Neo Geo Pocket Color, you could hook it up to your Dreamcast if you have King of Fighters R2 for that system, and you can like cross-play between the two. Once again, Sega thinking forward with these things. And hooking up with SNK on the side. And then lastly, I have 2 really heavy hitters for this console. I was able to find them for a pretty decent price online. I refuse to pay some of the money that's being asked for some of these games. Luckily, I found a couple people slipping on eBay. Gotta love it. Gunbird 2, which is one of the craziest vertical shoot-em-ups you will ever play in your life. The amount of bullets on screen at once will make your brain melt out through your ears. It is insane. I love those kind of really super difficult games. It makes you want to just keep on coming back and hone your skills and get through it. This is one of the better games available for the Dreamcast. The price is warranted, because if you have a Dreamcast, you need this game. And then finally, the more expensive of the 2, which I ended up finding for a pretty decent price, Mars Matrix. This is another vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. Super fun, super colorful. The music is amazing. I love the backgrounds and the designs for everything. The power-ups are fantastic. It is really hard also. I mean, come on. These are both Capcom games. I mean, they must just revel in the fact that they make people, like, want to rip their friggin' eyeballs out. Frustratingly addictive is what I keep calling it. This one looks fantastic if you're playing it through the VGA box. Oh my god, everything is just so crisp and clean, and you can see every single bullet coming for you. Super fun. I highly recommend you pick up a copy of Mars Matrix if you are able to. It is one of the best games available for the Dreamcast, bar none. So that's it for the first episode of Dreamcasting. I hope you like this series. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Let me know which ones you think I need to pick up next, which ones I should really keep an eye out for. If you know any way I can get a couple of these things, you know, on the cheap, DL, let me know. I'm always looking. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Please share the video online on the different social media sites, and give the video a thumbs up if you like what you see, especially this new series of episodes. Let me know that you like it, and I'll keep on doing it. Otherwise, I can just mix them back in with the standard pickup videos. So until next time, I'm Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, signing off.